at a local oil change and car wash place in town. So that's what I did. I've been working since I was 13 years old. I'm still working class. I've gone to 2 years of college, and basically when my father passed away, I no longer could afford to attend college, so I don't have the degrees that many of these other candidates have. I'm solidly working class. I know what it's like. Certain other candidates up here have the money for a huge campaign, and it's good for them. I'm doing this on a shoestring budget. One man gave me she's my first campaign donor, giving me a Sacagawea dollar. I'm gonna win this. I mean, she's my first campaign donor, because that's what I'm doing. I'm doing this on my own, on a budget, because this is what we need to do. We need to bring this back to represent the people and to be representative of the people. And I am a representative of the people. I represent the working class. So I'm hazmat trained, I'm a mechanically inclined DIYer, and I'm a custom woodworker. And so therefore that is why my slogan is clean, fix, build. Clean up the waste, fix what's broken, build a better future. Thank you.
Mr. Busy?
Certainly, yeah. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to the Progressive Democrats in County for allowing this event to take place today. It's your leadership here which is what needs to be replicated throughout the district. I also want to say thank you to Ms. French and your involvement with the Warren County Democrats. I lived in Erin County many years ago and was very active with the Democratic Party there, and it was always one of the strongest township organizations, so thank you for being here as well. I see some new faces in the room, so some of you may not have had a chance to meet me before. My name is Darren Greasy, and of course I'm here today to solicit your support and your votes for this run for Congress. A little bit of a brief background on me. I grew up in Monticello, Indiana, graduated from Purdue, and I was blessed when I was at Purdue to do some film work and got into the Screen Actors Guild. And upon graduation, I thought I would go out west and seek my fame and fortune for a better tomorrow. And after about 6 months out there, I don't want to go into the backstory, but the Holy Spirit came over me and I decided I didn't want to be an actor anymore. I wanted to be an activist, and I formed a little non-for-profit educational organization and started organizing events around human rights issues, environmental degradation issues, conservation-related issues. After about a year, some folks said, hey Darren, you need to get back to Indiana. I think they need your help a lot more than we need your help out here on the West Coast. So I came back to Indiana, started working on a master's in public affairs, and took a position as a lobbyist for the Indiana Citizens Action Directors. Hopefully you remember some of the Citizens Action programs back in the day. After one legislative session, I realized there was a huge disconnect between white shoe law firms that were running public policy, elected officials, and academia. Nobody was on the same page, and I thought, if I'm going to make a difference in this world, I've got to get at the front line and roll up my sleeves. So a position came open in the United Northwest area of Indianapolis. Martin Luther King Boulevard runs right down the middle of that neighborhood. At that time, highest homicide rates, highest Part 1 crime rates, highest propensity of sexually transmitted diseases in the Midwest were coming out of that zip code. To the unbelief of the executive board at the time, given the makeup of the community, they decided to hire me. In a couple years period of time, we flipped that neighborhood around. From the first year, we had 15 homicides to none 2 years later. And it's the old classic broken windows theory from back in the day. Bring love and hope where it never existed before. We put gardens on the corners, created 5 after-school safe havens for children. Went to the police and said, could you get out of your squad cars for a second? I'm a firm believer in community policing. You get on a bike, they rode through the neighborhood. Went to the bad guys and I said, can you take the drug dealing underground? Went to the other people and said, let's just start working together to make a difference in this world. That's exactly what this campaign is all about, bringing people closer together. After a few years period of time, my wife and I, our ex-wife, we were having one of the successful horse operations up in Hamilton County. I shifted gears, gave over the directorship to the board, and went out to my farm. And a few years later, we were voted the #1 horse organization and riding facility in the Indianapolis area by the Channel 13 poll. I live in Monticello again right now with my daughter. I'm a single parent, been active in the Democratic Party for 25 years. I've been a precinct committeeman, been a delegate to our state convention. I've even ran as a delegate to our national convention 2 years ago to represent Mr. Sanders. Because I thought he was bringing forth big ideas, big issues, and I know a lot of you people have come on board, and maybe the reason you're here today is because of Senator Sanders. Well, let me share something with you, my friends. I've watched over the last several months, as I've been given the opportunity to travel throughout the district, that even though I see that there are people interested, the party is fractionalized. Folks that may be supporting Bernie, they may be supporting other people, or feel like we all have to come together under the big tent. I want you to realize that. There are 4 issues that I'm trying to build this campaign upon. Term limits. When I ran for Congress 20 years ago, I ran on term limits. I saw the influence of our dark money in the process and all the other issues associated with it. We've got to get that out of the way. I believe the only way we're going to do that is reverse Citizens United and, of course, put term limits in place. Single payer. When I ran for Congress 20 years ago, single payer. People go, oh no, Darren, I'm paying $100 a month right now. Now they're paying $1,100 a month. That needs to stop. New revenues. We need to have new revenues. We're $21 trillion in debt. And, of course, renewable energy. I've been in front of that for 25 years. I sit on the board for the Western Indiana Sustainable Energy Resources Group that tries to bring private capital and concerned citizens together. So hopefully by the end of the night, I'll have your support. But either way, thank you for coming out today and being part of the process. God bless.
Thank you, everyone, for your introduction and stating your platform. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with some questions. And so this is for each of the panelists and candidates. So how have you voted in the past 3 presidential elections, and what does those votes say about you being a progressive Democrat or candidate? Mr. Day, you can start us off.
Okay. I've been a Democrat forever. I was raised by a single mom, worked at the post office, used to work at King's, and some of you may remember that was a meat packing company down on White River in downtown the city. I used to remember seeing that place just dumping stuff out into the White River. Cow guts and pig guts and stuff like that. But she was a key punch operator. They closed that store. She became a taxi cab driver. She became whatever she could to make sure that I was, hell, I never saw a pair of blue jeans till I was in high school. I was always wearing dress pants and skinny loafers. Some of you may remember those. So she then became a school bus driver, and then she went to work for the post office. And she retired from a proud union member of the post office for 30 years. So I'm an old Teamster for United Postal Service, the UPS. So I'm really big on unions, and I'm really big on middle class. I've been fighting for the middle class for a long time, and if you'll care to look it up, you'll find out. I've been fighting for the middle class ever since I've been a member of the middle class, which is my whole life. And my mother was a member of the middle class, and she worked really hard to be that way. So my dad passed away when I was 11. His Social Security helped me pay for college, living expenses, returning expenses, stuff like that, and food, and books, and things like that. So I really emphasize union, middle class, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and I do that because I've lived it. I voted Democrat every time. I've never voted for a Republican in my life, even for city council, which is this city council. I live in Avon, sorry. Only Republicans. Thank you. I saw you.
And before you get started, Mr. Becky, I just wanted to emphasize, we have 1 minute for questions. Sorry about that. So I don't want to let you know. Thank you.
I voted for President Obama twice and Hillary in the last presidential election. I voted Bernie Sanders in the primary. I found that Senator Sanders' populist message was the right message for the American people. So I am a staunch Democrat. I vote, and I vote Democrat. And I don't stay at home because the Democrat of my choice wasn't the choice of the party. We vote Democrat. We need to do that this time. We need to vote the candidate. I intend to see to it a Democrat is elected.
They asked about the last three elections as to who we voted for. I can say I voted for President Obama both times, and I did vote for Hillary last time. And like Mr. Mackey, I did also vote for Bernie Sanders in the primary, because the point was I want someone who is progressive, not just Democrat, but progressive, because most Democrats, the middle of the road Democrats of today, are no different than a Republican from 20 years ago. We want you're the progressive Democrats here. So that's what we're looking for, is a progressive platform. Like Senator Sanders when he ran for president. We don't want Hillary Clinton, we want Bernie in that respect. I'm going to try to bring the Bernie to this district. So thank you.
Well, as I indicated earlier, I've been involved with progressive policies and issues for most of my adult life. It's nothing new, whether it's in my personal life, whether it's in my professional life, or it's the way I vote. As I indicated before, I've been a precinct committeeman for the Democratic Party. I voted nothing but Democrat over my adult life. I've worked my polls in the past, but you have to realize that winning elections and running for office is only one cornerstone of making a better tomorrow. I mean, you have to seek the future you want and be the future that you seek. And if you're here because of your progressive beliefs, I want each and every one of you to follow, I guess, in my footsteps and go out and make a difference in your communities and in your families, because that's really where it starts, my friends. You know, we can sit up here and profess for hours upon end about how we voted, but really and truly it's you folks and you making a difference in something.
So 2008, I both worked for and voted for Obama. 2012, I again didn't work for his campaign, but did vote for Obama. Maybe that's why he lost in the end. And I voted for Hillary in 2016.
Thank you. So right now our nation is facing a crisis as it relates to school safety. We're concerned about school safety in our nation and also making sure that we keep our students here as far as schools are safe when we send them to school. So what will be your solution if elected in regards to school safety? 1 minute for your question. So anyone can start.
I was at the State House fighting the zombie bill with Moms Demand Action. I think Moms Demand Action and Americans for Common Sense gun laws are the right way to go politically. But let's understand that far too many of our schools have no mental health care counselors present. I was speaking with a 24-year-old educator from Monticello, Indiana, and she was saying, Joe, we don't have a guidance counselor. So these kids have no one. Our rural communities are suffering. I can tell you right now there are rural communities in our district who are discussing the possibility of training children to deliver naltrexone to their opiate overdosing parents, and then we expect them to go to school the next day and learn ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. We are in a crisis. It is a grave crisis. We shouldn't be waiting till 2019 to respond to it. We have a moral obligation to protect our children.
So I'll take it. We're all so school safety is often the euphemism people look for gun control in schools or common sense gun legislation. Moms Demand Action has endorsed me as a common sense gun candidate. Common sense gun legislation candidate. There we go. There are 4 things which these students are demanding, and all of them are reasonable, safe, do not interfere with the rights of the Second Amendment, and I support everything that those students are standing up for, asking for. We just got through this week doing a march through the district I cannot tell you how many veterans who fully understand what